So when I was younger and earlier years of my life, preteen, out of high school years, I felt like I was a black sheep growing up because I was a really odd kid, super creative type person, and my hearing disability kind of attributed to this a little bit, but I was born completely deaf in my left ear and partially deaf in my right, and just me being the odd little social kid that I was, I felt like I was a black sheep growing up, so it just caused me to feel like that I was just weird. Not in a bad sense, but I just felt like I was just an odd kid. And as I got older, that just kind of stuck with me forever, it felt like. After growing up and being an adult, I still held on to that. And being in other churches, I wanted to invest in people and be invested in, and just that general urge of the human experience of just wanting connection. I wanted that incredibly deeply, and I wasn't getting it. I had superficial experience after superficial experience, and I took a good amount of them, enough to come to this conclusion where I said to myself, I'm done. I'm out. Bye. And I left my faith, and I secluded myself from my family, left everyone alone, didn't include people in my life. Said, Benjamin Roy Koblenz isn't cool. Bye. And became 3 different people. And each of these 3 different lives were completely different. I was from other countries. I had complete backstories made up. I had different friend groups for each one of them. It was exhausting and unmanageable. I didn't know how to have a life, really, because it just felt disheveled and like shredded paper. So this grew to an extreme, and I didn't know how I was going to get out. So then I go to my youngest sister's wedding, and being at my youngest sister's wedding, and there with all the beautiful people that were there, and seeing my baby sister get married and with her husband, and just where Jesus had their relationship at, I saw them and came to this conclusion: what I'm seeing, I am not going to get if I continue with what I'm doing, ever. How am I going to get out of this? I had no clue. So I go home, and I was living in a different city at the time. So I was living in Portland, and my family was here in Spokane. All of the different friends that I had, all of the different relationships that I was in were feeding this horrible feeling that I had, and I didn't know how to get out. So I called my dad and just explained it to him, where I was and what was going on and how I was feeling. And he didn't skip a beat and just told me, you need to come home, and you need to come home now. I want you to pack your things in the morning, and you call me when you're on the road. Don't do anything else. Do exactly these things. So that's what I did, and it was difficult, and it was scarring, and just as ugly as where my life was, getting out of it was even uglier. I came home, and I knew immediately that I needed to get into a church. I didn't know where to go, so I just asked my parents, where are you going? Can I just tag along, kind of? And so I went where my parents were going. And Jesus just met me in the most authentic way possible. He just met me where I was and told me, this time, right now, in this moment, is going to be different. I promise you. Just trust me. Just trust me. Where I'm going to bring you to is where I need you to be, and what I'm going to raise in you is the person that you need to be. So before we get there, we need to get rid of these 3 people that you are right now. We need to ditch it. So over a course of a few months of being in this wonderful bed of intimacy with him. He exposed all these different lies that I was in, all these different lies I was telling myself, all the different lies that I was told, and walked me through repairing all of the different relationships that I had broken. My hands, my lies, my tendencies, the way I was carrying myself had torn apart. My sisters, my parents, my friends. I lost all my friends because none of them were Christians, so how would they come to a graceful response to something like that? So I had my family and I had Jesus walk me through this muddy path that he prepared me for. He basically told me that we're going to get out of this, but it's going to be rough and it's going to hurt and you're going to need to trust me. Because the path to redemption here is going to cut you up a bit. But that's okay, because it's needed. So let it happen. Jesus is good at bringing people home and redeeming hurt, redeeming self-inflicted pain and anything inflicted by others. That's just what he's good at.